Okay. So today we will start laying on our backs and use a rolled blanket or towel just to get some opening through our thoracic spine. So if you don't have a blanket or something handy, you can go grab that. Another option would be to use your yoga block, but that will be a little more intense. But in keeping with our theme of change and transition this month, I've been preparing a class for a yoga studio about fear. They asked me just to do a philosophy discussion about fear. And as I've been kind of pondering that and collecting things and writing my thoughts, and thinking about this theme that we've had here about transitions and change, right? It is often fear that makes change difficult for us. That fear of the unknown. And we've been reading this book called The Yoga of the Nine Emotions. And the author talks about this philosophy in yoga that there are rasas, or 9 emotions. And fear is one of the unpleasant ones. He says, fear regards the future, far and near. When we look at our past and all the plans we made for it, we come to realize that our planning has really had little impact on what happened. Much more important in the determination of the course of past events have been unforeseeable, unplanned problems, as well as opportunities. We must accept that for the future, it will be no different. All we can do is be prepared to make the best use of every problem and opportunity that comes our way. The future will take care of itself, so let us not sacrifice today's happiness because of it. It says, when we have nothing to lose, then there is nothing to fear. Often, it's our attachment to the way things should be that really creates the most anxiety and fear, or our attachment to things that inevitably will change or break or get lost. But when we have nothing to lose, there's nothing to fear. Real knowledge of truth brings fearlessness, while more knowledge of the world brings fear. When we seek for truth and find what's constant, right, that's what helps us navigate change. Love and friendship can also overcome fear, he says. So my invitation to you as you go through today and as we practice is just think about what your relationship to fear is. How often are you feeling fear? And is it because of your inability to control the future? Can you get yourself into the present moment and just say yes to what is happening and greet it with some love and friendship and truth seeking? Right? A real knowledge of truth brings fearlessness, while more knowledge of the world brings fear. Let's go ahead and start on our backs. And you can let your roll, you may need to adjust how thick it is to really help yourself feel supported, an interesting opening, but not too intense. And it may mean that you don't even have anything under your back. So lay with your roll right at the base of your shoulder blade. So kind of where your bra strap is, maybe a little bit above that. but still, like, we're creating an opening in our thoracic spine, but still find that kind of sensation of containing your front low ribs. I mean, they'll naturally splay out, but don't overarch your lower back here. And let your arms come above your roll in a cactus shape, elbows bent. Now, depending on your shoulders here, it may feel good to grab some couch pillows and put them underneath your arms here. Coming all the way down to the floor may be just a little bit too much. So you kind of listen to that there, and then pay attention to how your spine feels and notice if it feels better to have legs long on the floor or knees bent, feet flat on the floor. So don't go anywhere where your breath seems compromised. You want to really have a lot of space to be able to breathe. So if your knees are bent, it might feel good to have your feet wide and your knees knocked together just so you have some support there. And then start to really tap into your diaphragmatic breathing. See if you can relax your shoulders and your neck. Invite your breath in through your nose. Let your belly expand. Let everything go. And we'll breathe in a box. 4 counts in, 4 counts to pause, 4 counts out, 4 counts to pause. Go ahead and start here. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, pause, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, pause, 2, 3, 4. Keep following that pattern. You can find that little constriction in the back of your throat so you really hear an ocean-like sound as you inhale through your nose. Notice the space between breaths as you pause. Exhale with sound through your nose. After an exhale, just bend your knees if they aren't already and push into your feet. Kind of rock yourself off of your blanket and we'll move it down behind our sacrums now. And just pause there with your rolled blanket underneath your sacrum. And keep one knee bent, foot flat on the floor, and just lengthen your other leg. And then take that same arm and reach. So let one side of your body get long. See if you can stay the rhythm of that box breathing. Take one more breath there, on that side long. And then we'll just switch and bring your that lengthened arm out to a comfortable place. Start with your leg, just lengthen your leg. You've got that lift underneath your pelvis, and then you can lengthen that arm. And if you need your pillow under your arm, then grab your pillow, let your low ribs feel settled down. Just feel this length. We're just finding some passive length through this side of our body. letting that psoas release and lengthen, and really massage it with your diaphragmatic breath. One more breath there. And then we'll switch sides again. So slide that straight leg in, bend your knee, release your arm. Lengthen your other leg, and you can keep your foot on the floor this time, or you could hug that bent knee into your chest, and you'll find a little more length in the front of that lengthened leg and hip. Try to keep those low ribs settled down toward the floor. Feel your belly kind of expand against your thigh if you're holding on to your knee. And let this be kind of a place where you're letting go and relaxing. Really thinking about that psoas muscle as a rope that's getting massaged with your breath and kind of losing some of its twist. Just relaxing some of its twist. Still having that strength, but it's not wound up so tight. And then we'll go ahead and switch sides again. So you can bring that bent knee, foot to the floor, bend your other knee, then lengthen. You can stay here. You can even reach your arm up again, or you can grab on around your shin or knee. And softening those low ribs toward the floor. And just one more breath. And then release that foot to the floor, bend both knees, feet down, lift your hips up off your blanket, and just move it out of the way. Reach your arms up toward the ceiling, and we'll find some pumping bridge. So push into your feet as you lift your hips, bring your hands toward your heart. And then let your hips come to the floor and reach your knuckles up toward the ceiling. And just move here with your breath. And feel that space between your shoulder blades. And you can even stay with that 4-count box breathing. As we start to bring some movement into our body, some engagement into that back body. At the same time, you're kind of creating a little massage between your shoulder blades. Next, how we lower down, just lengthen your right arm up alongside your ear and roll to your right side with your knees bent. Bring your left knee in toward your chest and then open it up toward the ceiling, and then internally rotate at that hip and find your extension, and then bring your knee back to where you started. Now you can keep your hand on the back of your pelvis to try to keep it still, so you're not rocking back, and we'll switch directions. So find that hip extension, really reach your foot back, and then externally rotate. Bring that knee up toward the ceiling, knee up toward your armpit, knee into your chest, and back to where you started. We'll go back and forth 2 more times. And we do this almost every time, these hip cars. So good for your core and your agency in your hips. So helpful for us to do it from all different angles. So last time, reach back. Externally rotate knee up towards the ceiling, knee towards your armpit, in toward your chest. And now reach this leg back behind you. Just slide up on your hands to come into a zigzag with your legs. And just start to find some circles with your pelvis. With your torso, kind of around your pelvis. Your left sitting bone may not come to the floor, and that's totally fine. You can totally use your hands, right hand to stabilize you. And go back in the other direction. And then we'll just turn, bring your left sitting bone to the floor, both of your feet to the floor, plant your hands behind you and just bounce a little bit on your hands and play with different directions of your fingers, just loading those wrists, priming them, and getting ready for a reverse table. So find the angle of your fingers that feels good. Draw your shoulder blades together and find a little bit of a lift through the center of your palm. And then lift your hips up. Any amount. So you can lengthen your tailbone the same direction as your knees. And then lower your hips back down. Grab onto the backs of your thighs and just let yourself roll down. Keep your arms alongside your hips. Walk those knees in and we'll do some marching bridge this time. So lift your hips. Draw your shoulder blades together and then find some robot arms. So push your triceps down, palms are facing each other, fingers are facing the ceiling. And then just one foot and then the other, just hover your foot up off the floor. Trying to keep your pelvis level. Back and forth. When you feel even, go ahead and see if you can lower down one vertebrae at a time. Keep your tailbone high as you start to put each of your rib cage vertebrae down. And then your middle back, and then your lower back, one at a time. Sacrum comes down, you can release your arms, find a natural curve through your lower back. Lengthen that left arm alongside your ear, roll onto your left side. Use that right hand as a kickstand. And we'll do those hip cars with the right side. So knee in towards your chest, knee up toward the ceiling. Keep your sacrum upright. Internally rotate and then lengthen back and back to where you started. You can even set a block behind you on the highest height and see if you can keep yourself from knocking it over. Could be a helpful feedback. Really articulating through all of that circle of that hip there, just going back and forth, reaching back, externally rotating towards the ceiling and then toward the armpit, into the chest. Here's our last one, both ways. Internal rotation, reach back to where we started. Reach back, knee up into your chest. And now we'll use our hands to kind of push ourselves up and reach that right leg back. So you're in your zigzag. You can be on your left hand behind you or not, but just find some circles with your torso around your pelvis here. And then switch the direction of your circles. Plant your hands behind you, bring your knees out in front, and we'll find that reverse table again. So find your wrist placement, you can do some pawing of the ground first. Draw your shoulder blades together and then lift your hips. And this time find some marches. Lift one foot and then the other, just like we did in our bridge. You can have as much of a bend here in your pelvis as you need to feel stable in your shoulders and your spine. Once you feel like you're even on both sides, just set your hips down, rock forward, and bring your hands to the floor for a table. Turn around here. Draw your shoulder blades together and then push your shoulder blades apart just a couple times. Find these serratus push-ups. You can find some circles after you've done that a few times. Just getting in through your shoulders and then the other way. And then pause in a neutral place. Bring your right forearm to the floor and then your left forearm to the floor. And then right hand to the floor and left hand to the floor. And we'll go back and forth. Left forearm, left hand, right hand. Now walk your knees back just a little bit. And we'll do that again. Right forearm, right hand, left hand, left forearm, left hand, right hand. Maybe walk your knees back a little bit more. Right forearm, right hand, left hand, left forearm, left hand, right hand. And now keep going and find your place. Maybe you do it from a full plank, maybe knees down. Just really feel what feels supportive in that intra-abdominal pressure. 360 degrees around your center. And playing with these plank ups. And with left forearm, right forearm, and stay down. In your forearm plank, knees up or down, and we'll just keep our arms exactly as they are and dip your right hip toward the floor and come back through center. Dip your left hip toward the floor and come back through center. So it may be knees down and you're just dipping from side to side. With control, once you're equal both directions, go ahead and find a dolphin pose. Lift your hips and just creep your toes in, maybe just for a breath. And then come to child's pose. Really think about lengthening through your outer armpits and then finding some space between your shoulder blades. And then here, see if you can find some of those circles in your shoulder blades we did when we were in our table. It will be a different experience, but just play with it. And if you're not already, bring your knees down and find a child's pose. Bring your hands together in a prayer. Bend your elbows and bring your thumbs back toward the back of your neck. And just find some length through your triceps. And breathe here. And one more breath. And we'll just reach our arms forward. Make your way to downward facing dog. Tuck your toes. Lift your hips up and back. And find any movement here that you need. You can sway from side to side. You can shift your weight from one hand to the other. Come on to your tippy toes, look forward. Bend your knees and take a walk up to the top of your mat. Inhale, find your halfway lift. And then exhale to fold. And soften your knees as you fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Maybe this time find cactus arms. And exhale, fold. We'll do it 2 more times. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale, this time all the way to standing. Reach high. Just grab a hold of your left forearm with your right hand. Step your left foot behind your right heel and just find a nice big side bend here. Come back through center, release your grip, and then just switch it. Grab onto that right forearm with your left hand and step your right foot behind your left. Find your side bend. And then come back to center. Open your arms into a cactus. Really drop your tailbone towards your heels. Maybe find a baby back bend here. And then reach high. Exhale to fold over your legs. One more inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, fold. And then step your left foot back into a lunge. Bring your left knee down. And then feel like you're dragging your right heel and your left knee toward each other to come up. Reach your arms high. And then reach longer up through that left arm. And then reach longer up through that right arm. So almost like you're climbing a rope. And just feel the difference of what's happening in your shoulders and feel the relationship of your shoulders to that psoas. So you don't need to be in your deepest lunge here. Come to a place where you really feel some support underneath your pelvis. And just alternately reach. Find space between each of your ribs. As you keep some integrity through your core. Lengthen up through that left arm. You can drop your right arm. Find a side bend this time. And then drop your left hand outside your right knee. Just reach your right arm back, find a twist. And then cartwheel your hands inside that right foot. Toe heel your right foot out to the right and find some movement in your hips here. So we've done some work with that psoas, that left side. See if you can find some freedom. And then we'll bend and straighten that right leg and play with your hamstring. And pause with that right leg straight for a breath or two. And you can swivel your hips from side to side and kind of windshield wiper this heel, your foot from side to side, right? But it's happening from your pelvis. Your leg is staying straight. You're not moving from your ankle or your knee. Just kind of going through all of those hamstrings. And then bend into your knee, plant your hands, just step back into downward facing dog. Recalibrate there. Feel the difference from your right leg to your left. And then rock forward into a plank. You can bring your knees down. We'll lower all the way to your belly. Reach your arms out long. Root down through your pubic bone, lift your left leg and your right arm, and then lower, and lift right leg and left arm. So think about that length through the front of that extended leg's hip flexor as you root down into your pubic bone and feel like you're lengthening through your lower back. You don't need to lift high here. I'm just kind of finding some swims back and forth. Let's just do each side one more time. And then really root down into the tops of your feet. Slide your hands back to the widest part of your chest. Draw your shoulder blades in. Feel like you're pulling your hands back to come up into a cobra of any height. Feel like you're lengthening out of your lower back. And then loop your shoulders back as your sternum reaches forward. Come up through table and find your downward facing dog again. Sway your hips from side to side. Come up onto your tippy toes, look forward. Bend your knees, make your way to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold. Inhale all the way to standing. Reach high and then find that side bend to your right. So grab onto that left forearm. Cross that left knee behind to reach. And come through center. Just switch sides. Step that right foot behind as you reach through that right side. Come back through center. Find your cactus arms. Drop through your tailbone. Draw those shoulder blades together. Maybe find a little back bend. And then reach your arms high and fold over your legs. Find another halfway lift, using those hamstrings to lift you. Let yourself fold. Step your right foot back into a lunge, right knee down. And then find that core support, drawing your knee and your heel toward each other as you come up. Reach high and then climb that rope again. So just fluidly reaching one arm longer, reaching the other arm longer. And just feel the relationship of your rib cage, your shoulder to that hip flexor on your right side. And next, turn that right arm's up. You can find a side bend. Just drop your left hand down. But still find that sense of pulling your knee and your heel toward each other. And then right hand outside left knee. Reach that left arm back. Find your twist. And then cartwheel both hands down inside that left foot. You can toe heel your left foot to the left. And find some circles with your hips. And then bend and straighten that front knee. You can play with flexing and pointing your foot. It'll be different depending on what you're doing with your ankle and your foot. Think about pushing your foot away to bring that leg towards straight and then pulling your heel back. Feel that activation in the back body. Next time your leg comes straight, just pause there. You can flex through your foot, maybe swivel your hips from side to side to make that windshield wiper action with your foot, but your leg is still, and the movement's happening from your pelvis. And then bend into your knee. And your hands. And then just step back into a downward facing dog. Check into both of your legs. And we'll rock forward to plank. Come all the way down to your belly again. And this time find a cactus shape with your arms. So your elbows are in line with your shoulders. Lift your head and chest and lift both arms. Draw your shoulder blades together. Root down into your pubic bone. And then you'll just bend into your left knee and draw your right elbow back. Find a twist and look at that left foot. And then come back to center. And then we'll switch sides. Bend into your right knee and draw that left elbow back. So we're doing a little bit of a different swim this time. Alternating bent knees. Feeling that through your side body. Engage through your back body, but still find some length. So you don't have to bend your knee far. You don't have to lift your chest far. We'll end with that right knee bent, left elbow back, and then release. Hands along the widest part of your chest. Really root down into the tops of your feet and your pubic bone. Lift into your cobra and let this feel really good. Find some length through the back of your neck. And then come up through table. This time, find a child's pose with your knees wide, toes touch. Let your arms go long. You can sway your hips from side to side here. And take one more round of breath there. And then make your way to your downward facing dog. Hips up. Arrange yourself where you feel support. Find all the connections that you have with your floor. And then see if you can kind of find some lift there. So maybe lift your toes. Engage to the fronts of your shins as you push your inner thighs back. And then feel like you're drawing your hands toward each other without moving them anywhere. Feel that engagement in your outer arms. Lengthen through your outer armpits. So root down into that pinky edge of your hand. And then kind of claw your fingertips into the floor. Now notice where you're really gripping and having any tension. See if you can let go of any rigidity and just feel some support and fluid qualities here. Come on to your tippy toes, look forward. Exhale, bend your knees, walk up to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, all the way to standing, reach high. Grab a hold on to that left forearm, step your left. You'll be fine. Find your side bend here. And then switch sides. Side bend over to your right. And back to center. Find your cactus, maybe a baby back bend. Really using your shoulder blades to cradle the back of your heart, keeping those low ribs contained. And reach high and then fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, left foot back into a lunge and then ground your heel for warrior two. And then cartwheel your arms out and up. Find your warrior two and then feel your pelvis. Have some freedom here. Adjust your feet so that you can have some fluid buoyancy in your pelvis. There's not any rigidity. And then see if you can settle in. Reach your arms long. Go over those right fingertips. And take one more breath there. Then we'll reverse that warrior reach high. You've got your side bend on this side. Remember that side bend we did standing. See if you can commit to the bend in that front knee. Contain those front low ribs, but really find some length through that whole right side. And this arm can come behind you, can rest on your thigh, but it doesn't have a whole lot of weight. Take one more breath, and then we'll come into side angle pose. Right forearm to right thigh, left arm alongside your ear. So side bend in a different way. We've been playing with some twisting. So engage through that right glute and root down through your left heel. Use some leverage in this right forearm to rotate your sternum up toward the ceiling. And then maybe let your gaze go toward that left hand. Just a big wide opening. Take one more breath there. And then we'll cartwheel our left hand to the floor. Lift your left heel, ground through that left hand, and then open up into a twist the other way, right arm up. And take a breath, and then bring your right knee down. Squeeze heel and knee toward each other. Feel like someone's pulling that right arm up to come into a big open arm twist. And then you can drop those right fingertips back, lift your left arm, and find a side bend here with your twist. Maybe you make it into a half camel and reach back for that left heel with your right hand, but only if you're feeling strong through that back body. Take another breath, and then cartwheel your hands to frame that front foot. Step back into a table and find a few sequential cat-cows here. So start with your tailbone tucking, and then see if you can just gradually round your lower back, upper back, tuck your chin, and then we'll unfurl from the tailbone. See if you can do it pretty slow. Tailbone, and then your lower back extends, your mid back, upper back, gaze lifts. Do that a few more times, initiating everything from your tailbone. And then we'll make our way to child's pose or downward facing dog, whichever one you want. And then standing forward fold at the top of your mat. Connect with your breath. And find your halfway lift. And then let yourself fold. And make your way all the way to standing. Reach high. Grab a hold of that left forearm. Find your side bend to the right. And then switch. Side bend to the left. And through center. Reach high. Find your cactus arms. Maybe your baby back bend. Reach up and fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to bow. And then right foot steps back. Setting up for your warrior two. So ground through that heel, bend through your left knee. And use this left glute to kind of power you up as you reach. And then find some fluidity in your pelvis. And then adjust your feet accordingly. So your knee is going to track the same direction as that second and third toe of your foot on your left knee. And your right toe will dial in. But our femur bones all connect into our pelvis is a little different. So just ask yourself, can my pelvis move? And then you can find some stillness. Enjoy the buoyant support from that floor up through your pelvic floor. And then find your side bend and we'll hold here. So bend through that left knee, stay committed to the bend in your left knee, and then reach through that left arm. Find space in all your ribs. Your right arm is pretty light. You can come behind you or just rest. Enjoy your breath. One more round of breath there. And then left forearm to left thigh. Find your side angle pose. Root down through that right heel as you reach through your right fingers. Find some leverage from that left arm so your ear is not coming into your shoulder. And then rotate your heart up toward the ceiling. Maybe even look at your right hand. One more breath. And then right hand comes to the floor. Lift that right heel and lift your left your left arm, sorry. High, find your twist here. Draw your shoulder blades toward each other. And feel like you're dragging that left heel back as you open through your heart. Maybe lift your chin a little and open through your throat. And then right knee down. Feel like someone's pulling this left fingertips up to come up into your big open twist. And stay here. You could float that right arm up. Find a side bend. Maybe left fingertips find your left heel. And your reach. And then cartwheel. Your hands down. Step back into your table. And this time, see if you can initiate your cat-cow from your head. So tucking your chin. Drawing your sternum in to round your upper back, gradually rounding your lower back, your pelvis tucks. And then see if you can look forward and reach your sternum forward. And try that a few times. Leading with your head and your cat and cow. One last time. And sit back in a child's pose. Slide your hands back towards your knees. And then just root down into your shins to lift your hips. Rock onto the crown of your head, but you'll have very little weight in the crown of your head. Most of it's in your shins. And then rock your hips back towards your heels. Now push into your shins to lift your torso up off your thighs. Come into a kneel, and then you can plant your hands behind you, fingertips or palms. Draw your shoulder blades together, and then lift your hips any amount. And then let yourself fold back into your child's pose. Hands alongside your knees. Push into your shins to lift your hips and rock to the crown of your head. And then just flow between these two places. Really connecting with your movement, with your breath in a way that feels intuitive. You can play with the placement of your hands every time you get back to that open-hearted camel. A lot of integrated movement here. Using shoulders, using our hips, strengthening through our back bodies, and opening our hearts. Right, that really peeling open of our heart teaches us to be free of fear. We can embrace what's coming because we know we can handle it. If you want to interlace fingers behind your back as you come into this rock onto the crown of your head, you can. We're just going to do this 2 more times. And you can feel free to pause in one place. You don't have to keep moving. And our last little baby camel. Release. Go ahead and come up onto your knees. And we'll do a full camel pose. And it can be the depth that you want it to be. You could grab blocks and have them back by your ankles, have 2 blocks there. But first, we're really going to turn on our back body. Reach high. And then just do a few of those rope climbs that we did earlier. Just climb your rope here and find space through your sides of your rib cage. And then reach both arms high. Really reach, reach, reach. Your front low ribs are staying softening down. Now grab an imaginary bar and pull that bar down. So engage your lats, your whole backside, and then just plank yourself back. And you can reach your arms. Maybe they come to your lower back, maybe to your blocks, maybe to your heels. And then with the strength of that back body, you can bring your pelvis to stack over your knees. Gaze can stay at the ceiling. When we come up, head comes up very last. I like to just bring one hand on my heart, other hand on my heart, head up last. And then sit back on your heels, palms face up on your chest, on your lap. And breathe here. If you want one more big opening for your heart, and set up for that camel pose again. If your toes are tucked, your heels are closer. You should have done that the first time. Reach up, find space, your rib cage, and then reach both sides. So your tailbone's lengthening towards your knees. Your front low ribs are softening in. Grab your imaginary bar and pull it behind your head. Feel that engagement behind your shoulders. So your shoulder blades are like presenting your heart forward. And then plank yourself back. Turn on that whole back body. Feel the strength of your quads. And then reach your hands down. Maybe for sacrum, maybe blocks, maybe heels. Use some strength between your shoulder blades. Support yourself with your quads and your hamstrings. Zip up that lower belly. So think of that space where your zipper on your jeans is. So you find some support in your transverse abdominis. Maybe you can let your gaze go toward the wall behind you. Head will come up last. One hand on your heart. Come on up, other hand on your heart. Head comes up, untuck your toes. Sit back on your heels, palms face up. And just breathe. And just notice what happens when we peel our heart open like that. Love and friendship overcome fear. Having nothing to lose helps us overcome fear. And knowing that we have the capacity to handle whatever comes helps us live in that place of love. Go ahead and shift your hips over to one side. We'll just find a really easy twist. So I shifted over to my right, and now my right toes kind of come into my left arch. Left hand outside that right knee. Then just let yourself twist around. And you can kind of come out of your twist and back into it. And then we'll switch, coming through center, and shift your hips over to the other side. So now my left toes kind of come into my right arch. Right hand outside your knee. Just use that left hand behind you. And you can kind of explore your twist and coming in and out of it. And now just swing your legs out in front of you. And they can be a comfortable distance apart, about hip distance apart. And have some softness in your knees so your spine can be tall. And then just let yourself feel like you're pulling your heels back to reach your sternum forward. And then push your heels away to wave your spine back upright. Then find some waves here after that back bending work. Work with your forward fold in a really fluid way. So as you come forward, really think about sending your inner groin back. Connecting this with your breath. And after you've done a few waves, if you get to a forward fold where you want to hold, feel free. Maybe let your legs straighten there. Keep reaching your heart forward. And you can find a little sense of a wave with your breath here. Inhaling back out a little bit. Find some more length, and then maybe exhale, fold just a little more. So just a micro wave. Our breath is always moving, right? Our bodies, our cells, everything in this world is in a state of change. And when we just embrace that, say yes to it, find the beauty in it, even love it, we have nothing to lose, and we can find some freedom. Because amidst all of the change, there is some constant truth. Take one more breath in your forward fold. And then walk yourself up. Scoot your bum to the middle of your mat. You can hold on to the backs of your legs just to gently lower yourself down. And then roll over onto one side. I'm rolling to my left. That's the way I'm facing. And just bring your arms in front of you. Knees are bent comfortably. And then take your right arm or your top arm, sweep it overhead and out to the side. Just making a big circle here. So you'll just sweep that top arm back alongside your hip and come back to where it started. Just swimming that shoulder in circles. And then we'll go ahead and just rock all the way to the other side and find a few big circles that other way. And let your breath be pretty easy. You don't have to intentionally control it too much. Next time you come open, just roll onto your back. Maybe hug knees into your chest, maybe rock, maybe find some circles or a happy baby. Anything you need to just get yourself settled into Shavasana, your final rest. When you get there, get out your wiggles. You can rock everything a little bit. Snuggle your shoulder blades in a way that really supports your open heart. Let your palms face up. Take a big breath in through your nose and just let it out with a sigh through your mouth. Do that 1 or 2 more times. And then let yourself be still. Continue with every exhale to let your body sink into a little bit deeper relaxation. And if you have more time, stay here for 5 or 10 more minutes. It'll be so good for your nervous system. If you need to get on with your day, just let yourself settle for 1 more breath. And you can wiggle fingers and toes. Reach your arms up, maybe even find that rope climber, stretch one side and then the other. Bend in your knees, roll to your favorite side, and make your way up. I hope you can go through this day with a fearless heart, with a search for truth and radiating love. And perfect love casteth out all fear. The divine light in me honors the divine light in you. Namaste, friends. Have a great day.